We should be live.
Can you co-host me so I can record it?
Yeah, hang on a second.
It is streaming.
Yeah. Just make sure you record it on your computer, because I am absolutely chocker in my.
Yeah, I'll do it locally. It's fine.
Make co-host. There we go. Yeah, I have absolutely zero space in my Zoom cloud. I've got 3 things in there. Okay, welcome everybody to Love Speaks Love. Just excuse us while we're getting ourselves organized. So just gonna, I did tag you, so you should be able to find that quite easily. Just check the sounds down there. And just taking a little moment or two just to share it.
Okay, got it.
There we are. Share it there. That page. Share it to Love Speaks Love. And thank you everybody that's joining us. We will be with you in 1 or 2 seconds. Just taking a little.
Okay, I've got that. It's just me, so I can see the comments.
No worries at all.
We're just doing our social media.
One day I will have an intro, so this will just be smooth.
Yeah, I dream of that too. Let's manifest it.
All right. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, I'm Denise, your host, and my lovely guest today is Susanne Amara. Welcome, sweetheart.
Hello.
All right, so Love Speaks Love is a platform for people to share experiences, a bit of ceremony, wisdom. And my dream is for people to be coming together through this, and also for us to be in our heart space more. And that's one of the reasons why at the beginning of the show, which I shall do in a moment, do a little visualization to encourage us to be in our heart space and to feel all of our hearts connecting together. So while people are joining, I shall do just that. So I invite you to breathe in love. Breathe love into your beautiful hearts. And that love is spreading all over your body and going into every single cell, going deep into the DNA. So taking a few long and slow deep breaths, breathing in love. If you wish to breathe out anything of the day so far, or the day ahead, or the week, as you breathe love into your body. And extending that heart awareness out. So connecting all of our hearts together, all of us watching this live, or on the replay, or on YouTube. Recognizing that we are all in that one unified field of love, one heart, one love. And extending that heart awareness out to the heart of Gaia. And just feeling yourself being held in Gaia's beautiful crystalline diamond heart. Feeling yourself surrounded by Gaia's love. Feeling Gaia's love moving into every cell of your body. Feeling her gratitude for you, a recognition of you, and a gratitude for all that you are and all that you do. And extending that heart awareness out to the heart of the sun, feeling those solar waves, those solar energies moving into every cell. Filling up your solar plexus, which to me is like a solar battery. And extending our heart awareness out to the heart of Source Creator. And feeling Source love in every cell of your body. One unified field of love, one heart. So if you close your eyes for that, just opening them whenever you're ready. It's always so hard to come back. I could just stay in that space with my eyes closed for the whole day. Maybe one show, that's what we'll do. We'll just do a silent telepathic.
Yeah, I have to kind of like hinge myself in a bit because it's so easy just to like just dissolve in that sense of love, isn't it? That you just could just stay in it for a long time. I realized like part of me there was like, no, you've got to come back because you're doing a conversation.
And it's our natural way of being. Like it's, you know, it is where we are without all the extra bits, without all the distortion. That's what we are and who we are. So, how are you finding the energies at the moment?
Very, very strong. And yeah, it's not kind of roses, all of it. Some of it is really deep. And it's very body held. I think the theme for me, I knew it was towards the end of last year. I knew this year was going to be the year of my body, of honouring the temple, and really, I mean, going deeper than I've ever gone before. I mean, it started before the end of the year, but the last 10 days has been like taking 10 steps backwards into my body and it feeling like a lead, like a 90-year-old, literally. I felt like I was 80 years old when I was in London last week. I couldn't hardly walk, and it took me so deep into some of the energies that we're subconsciously holding, or that we're, you know, open to in the morphogenic field. And it's interesting because you come through it, but when you're in it, it's very, very strong. It's a little bit like a wave of a labor contraction. So when the contraction comes in, it's like, and we're taken to whatever's presenting. And it's like how the only question is, it's coming anyway. So it's how present can you be with it, really? That's the question. Is how present can you be and how deeply can you surrender into it? So that's all what I'm finding is I meet where my resistances are very quickly. And yeah, I mean, there's nothing else I can do. Sometimes I'm flat on my back. I just literally don't get any work done, and just have to sit with it. And then sometimes it's like the most, like we just shared, the stepping into I don't even know what reality is sometimes. It's so fluid. It's like, was I in the astral last night? Was I somewhere else? What was I doing? I was fully awake and aware in transfiguring my body into a dolphin, and awake, and as awake as I am now. So what is that? And not knowing anymore. So it's like just being very fluid with what's presenting, because some of the world that we live in is presenting, and you can't run away from it either. I mean, no matter how much parts of you might not like what's presenting, or you might have judgments of what's going on, we've all got them, and we're meeting those too. We can't. There's nowhere to hide.
Yeah.
That's it. So that's my kind of quick appraisal of where we're at And it's an honor as well, even though it's full on. I feel very grateful and a deepening sense of that space of being grateful as well.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. And it sends out such, you know, the gratitude resonance. There's nothing like it. And, you know, whatever it is we're going through, and initially you might have you know, contraction and resistance, but the sooner that we can get into the field of gratitude, the sooner we can find the nuggets, whatever they are. And I really hear you on the body stuff. So I've been working on my body for so many years, like 20 years, but it kind of went new level in the lead up to the solstice. And it feels very similar now. It feels like there's this window leading up to the equinox at the weekend. And it's like I'm getting the encouragement to just work and work and work on my physical body. So there was a lot of solar plexus stuff, and there has been for a couple of years. It's been primarily solar plexus. And then I was really working with my lungs. And I really wanted to do more work on my lungs, but I was getting a lot of encouragement to do work on my throat. And it felt like there's something to do with the water. There's something to do with the divine feminine energy. And those two coming together, there's something about that and speaking our truth, all of our communication. And what was really coming in for me yesterday was, so I went to the spring, the freshwater spring down the road. And last week when I approached it, so there's a bit of a way in, and that's where I sprained my ankle, I don't know, 3 weeks ago or something. And as I was approaching the doorway in, I got this pain in my left leg. My ankle really went, my knee really went, and my knee had twisted a little bit as well, but my hip too. And I noted it on that day and felt like I was being encouraged to do work specifically on my left side, on my feminine side. And I did do some, but as I was walking in yesterday, it happened again. Really, it was one of those pains that kind of stops you in your tracks kind of thing. You know, it's a real trying to get your attention kind of thing. And what I felt, it's something to do with that waterway. It was no coincidence that was where it had happened, and that's where I sprained my ankle too. And as I was leaving yesterday, it happened again at pretty much the same spot. So I knew that was the message to really work on this left-hand side. So I was working on my ankle. I was doing the chimes on my ankle, doing all the magic on my ankle, my foot, my knee, and my hip particularly. But a lot of it seems linked. I know there's still work to do on the throat. It seems very linked to that, but it also seems linked to sexual distortion that we're holding in our body. And it's linked to water.
Yeah, I'm right with you on that. It's almost, it's funny because you're doing left side, I'm doing right side. So I'm doing masculine. And it's knee, like specific points in the knee, down the outside of the calf, so the shin bones, and the ankle specifically, and parts of the pelvis. So I've even isolated it into tiny muscles because I've been doing embodied movement with it. So it's got to the point where I'll sit with it. So embodied movement is where you just surrender and let your body talk and let your body move. But some people call it unwinding. It's not It's just you surrender to your body and it moves. So what I'm finding, I've done it for years, is it's next level now, because it's taking you into all that energy. So it literally takes you in, and then you'll hold that position and you breathe through it with a continuous breath to like loosen it. And then what I'm finding is I feel like the universe, it's the only way to describe it, Denise, like the whole frigging universe is moving through even just like a few cells, like it's a river moving through, and it's like it can take you. So you know you're in your body and you know you're moving, but then you're simultaneously getting visions from all different types of things, but you're feeling it in your body, like you're not going anywhere. It's here and now. And that's what I've been doing a lot of, like many hours a day, maybe 2 or 3 hours in the morning sometimes. And I've got a very light schedule this month because I knew this month was going to be a lot of this processing. And I really feel like it's almost like I know it's coming up personally, but this does not feel totally personal. It feels like it's like so out of personal, almost like it's DNA, it's our DNA that's showing us. And we might have personal attachments where we've had experiences, but it's deeper than that. It's much deeper. It's drawing our attention in. It clears. I managed to clear a lot of stuff with my body last week, but then I've got new stuff that's coming. In particular, like you interesting, you mentioned the throat. Lots with the throat and the bottom end of the heart, top end of the solar plexus. Feels like a big kind of V on the morphogenic field, kind of hologram. So like I'm feeling that as well, and into the sacrum as well at the back. So it's kind of like a funny little throat down, and then it goes back through your body, like backwards into the sacrum, into that triangular bone. It's feeling there's a lot there, and there's a lot of, like you say, linking into the divine feminine. That energy of, there's all kinds of things. I mean, won't go into it, but it's incredibly deep, some of the stuff that's coming up, and it's incredibly challenging because it goes into a lot of the very deep patriarchal wounds of the feminine, but feeling it from all sides as well, like if perceived sides, we'll say that, perceived positions, but feeling it from the whole rather than it's just this is the position. And that way we've had it in the past, is to take a position and fix somewhere, and then the whole universe looks like what it does from that position. It's not really like that now. It's like you're bouncing through the different paradigms and you get to feel it all. So it just makes you a lot more compassionate. That's it. It's end of story for me. It just makes me feel more and more compassionate for every being, everything.
Yeah, and there's something about the recognition of water, like the superconsciousness of water, and for me at least, going on at the moment, and really tapping into the consciousness of water on a way deeper level than I've ever done. So I was aware of water as being one of the elements. Think of it with fire and earth and air, but it goes so much deeper than that. And so, as I've said before, I've started having these conversations with water. I'm spending a lot of time at the moment with my hands in one of my crystal singing bowls in water that I get from the spring, for as long as I can. If I can do it for 3 hours in the evening, then that's awesome. And so I've been having conversations with water at that time. And it feels like it's no coincidence that as we're learning to honor water at this time, there's a link with that and the divine feminine coming in. It feels like those two are really weaved together. And there was something, and you know, people might have heard me mention this before, there was something about consciously working with water. So consciously, when we're drinking water, consciously connecting with the water. And it almost feels like one of the messages I got was that, you know, people use water already, like hydrotherapy, physios, you know, are using water in those circumstances. And the water is acting quite passively. It's healing, but it's like a passive healing. But if we consciously connect with water at those times, then the energy from the water, it feels, is a lot stronger. So when my hands are in water and I'm very conscious that I'm water, and that really, although there is skin, in an energetic way, there's actually nothing between us. The water on what appears to be the outside of my body, where my hands are in the bowl, I can feel the energy of that moving through my hands, and can feel that there's no inside, there's no outside, there's no separation within that. Yeah, I wanted, have you got anything to, I'll hand it over to you at that point.
Well, because there is no separation, it's an illusion. You've got an illusionary hand that you're having an experience with, that you identify with, and it's in the water, and the water is molecules, and your body is molecules of water. So really, you're just talking about skin as a membrane, and the tissues, and the, I've forgotten what they call it. It's like hydrophilic action, I think it's called, the way you know, we ripple the thing that keeps your skin waterproof. I think, I don't quote me on it, it was something like that. But it's communicating, and we know as soon as we get out of the head and the kind of, you know, linear kind of framework of how we approach life, and we feel the consciousness of water, and we know and we understand because we feel it, that this is a conscious creation, and it responds to energy, it responds to thought, it responds to thought form before it even is a thought. It responds to music. We know from, you know, most commonly the work of Emoto, but there's been many people all over the world. I mean, he was just someone that became popular like anything, but it's very well documented for a very long time, and even many thousands of years ago, well before we had any type of organized religion, there's writings in the Vedas about water consciousness. So we know it's nothing new. We're simply coming back to it. It's like coming back to it again and again and again. I keep coming back to this, Denise. You know, it's like, how many times have we been around the tree and we're right sitting here having this conversation, and it feels like we've done it so many times. This time we're doing it in a perceived dense body, aren't we? I mean, as densities go, the human framework, or matter and material, earth that we experience is fairly dense compared to maybe what we experience when we're like traveling and moving around. So when we have this sacred experience with water, it's allowed to be, we're giving it permission through our heart, through our, it feels like we're bursting open. Like, so the bursting, I call it the shine, but you might have a word for it. That shine, we're giving it permission to actually be itself, because before this point we've denied it just through our resistance. So now we're going, okay, I'm giving consent to have a full experience of this. And so we're beginning, I mean, I don't know anything, but I just know what I feel. So that feeling is definitely one of dissolution. It moves inside, it speaks, like you said, you having conversations with water, that what we shared the other day on when you came and spoke with me, that the words are so powerful. It's like you hear them inside when you read them. I hear the vibration, the sacred sound of what's behind it. So I'm sure people are having different experiences, but yeah, Very much the same. Just even I've got water here on the desk, in a pint glass, but I've prepared it. It's not just coming into a glass now, it's collected spring water. I re-vortex it. I've added some lime today to it, and it's been sitting on one of my coats. So it's like I'm making it like to bring light into it. But when we're doing that, I feel, so I'm spending time with the water here. We're reaching all waters, but we're also communicating with our body. So by blessing the water that's in front of me here, I'm actually blessing my body as well. And I'm appreciating, because there isn't any outside and inside. It's just perceptions that we're decompressing into reality. Sounds a bit complex, that does, but it's just being.
Yeah, no, fully with you on that.
Being present.
And the structure that you mentioned, like the crystalline structure of water, there's two things from this. One that feels, and in a way, I don't really want to divide into the masculine and feminine, but just to say within that I used to feel the what are perceived as feminine attributes of the flow of water, and the fluidity, the softness, the emotion, and in my head the water energy held, like, if I was to put it one side or the other, it held like a female resonance. But I've totally got, when it was snowing, that the structure is there, that if you want to call that the masculine energy, like it's both. And I often, because the voice that I hear in my head when I'm communicating with water is quite female, so that's why I often refer to that energy as she. But I feel that it's both, and it's almost too linear to describe it in those terms. And I feel that water is evolving very much at the moment, and that water is not yet fully activated, even that he, I don't like to say it. I wish we had a different, like,
I struggle with this too.
yeah.
Yeah.
But she's not fully, I'll say she, just for the sake of saying something, that she's not fully in her power yet either. And that we have no idea really of the cleansing capabilities of water. Because that's what water does so well. And it feels like, again, we're only aware of this much of, a universe amount of her capabilities, and that she can cleanse anything. I really feel that. And there was such encouragement to call her in as well. That was what I got from her. It's like, hello, I'm here, ready to be called into, like, to even help isn't the right word, but to just be with this. Oh, there's 33 watching us and speaking about this. Yeah, just to call her in, call in the energy of water. And it's almost like we see a fractal of her, like, a goddess energy is like a fractal of the whole thing. It's like, but what I feel I've been connecting with is the whole consciousness of water, which isn't just, it's not limited to Earth either. It's a very universal being. Yeah. And I do just want to honor and say, if anyone hasn't seen any of her stuff yet, Vida Austin, who is in New Zealand, who has been doing some similar work to Masaru Emoto, feels like it's his work kind of taken to the next level, and it's much more accessible for all of us as well. It's incredible work and really shows the consciousness of water, the humor of water, and it's a very simple process the one that she's kind of perfected is a very simple process, but it's very, very interesting and very rewarding. And it shows, it's like having a conversation with her. You can ask her a question, freeze some water, and the answer is often there in the petri dish. So it's been a really, really interesting process moving through this, and it's really deepened my connection with water, and it's really fun. And that's what I've been getting as well. You know, it's probably not coincidence that dolphins are in water and that those two are together. You know, dolphins remind us to be playful, and water has been giving me the same message.
It's a good segue, that one. I don't know how you managed to get the dolphins in there, Denise. It's deep. That's so... the dolphin connection is so... Because I know you're very connected to whales as well, but to me, I do have whale connections. It's been more new, but it's always been these dolphins, and they've come and gone for nearly 5 years. Come and gone. But I've had some experiences, and it's just to be dolphin. But I keep saying dolphin rather than dolphin, because it does feel more like, I want to use that word more. And it's not, when you transmogrify your body, so when you let yourself become dolphin and you swim, like we imagine that as our earth oceans, but you don't stay in the earth oceans. There is so many oceans, and it just becomes like unnamed water, like unlabeled. It's not labeled in any specific time or planet. It's just an experience, with direct experience of the universe as a liquid form, and you as a body that can move and play in the water. And of course, then we come back, and it's like, then it unleashes that energy inside of us, which is where attachments break down, you know, all the things that has held us in these patterns of attachment and staying in repetitive loops, that energy is breaking us open, so that it all ties into flow. It's the simplest way of really giving it, play, flow, sharing. You know, think how much joy is there. I've seen a few people sort of doing the techniques that have been shared, and I love the symmetry patterns, that it seems to elevate the energy, to amplify it, in the same way when we write codes and we or take nature. And I go through phases of just playing with that. I don't often publish them, but I just do it for my own enjoyment with nature. And there's something about the energy that we feel through that. It's very pleasing, very deeply penetrating. So the dolphin energy is a very significant energy for opening us up out of our very human death habits of, you know, like living, but we're not really living, we're just existing and trying to survive. And that opens the play element back in a really free way. And it's very unexpected. So you can't plan it, can you? Because you don't know how it's going to turn out. And I like that with the crystals, it's unexpected. It's just you open, and then the water is communicating in its own way. And I feel that too, coding for water. Very much as it's next level. It's the one that I've done this week. I did it live. You know, it's very exposing bringing codes live. It's been a big journey to get to that stage, to feel comfortable to do a big code live. And the energy doing that code was all about lifting the word out. So lifting where we've taken the energy of the word in, and it means something, and it's held, and it's closed the geometries down, so it becomes a block in the field. And it was literally winding it out. It was literally like, take the words and wind them out. And that's the water. That's what water does. It's like, I could feel it working. And it's still a journey with that copacetic, but it feels deep and like we don't have to try. There's no effort required. It just is presence and being really honest. So all of that, the old kind of, I don't know, like someone will go, "Are you okay?" And you go, "Yeah, I'm fine." That it's just like, we don't have to do that anymore. We can just go, "Oh, well, actually, I'm processing something today." And it's okay. We don't have to be pretending. I like that. It's real.
Yeah, I hear you, and again, that, you know, that goes back to the throat energy as well, and speaking our truth and speaking from the heart too. And it really feels at the moment like we're strengthening. For me at the moment, there's a lot of this kind of like here. I'm seeing that as a diamond kind of coming from here, going to those spots in the shoulders, and going down to kind of where the ribs meet there. So where it kind of overlaps, where solar plexus and heart overlap, and I'm just seeing that geometry. And I think the diamond is it's one of those that's like, it goes down, it's longer from the, if it's two pyramids together, then this lower lower pyramid is longer than the top. But I see that as some of the geometry that that is coming through at the moment, that's kind of there already, but it's being activated. And that's some of what we're doing on Monday as well. Like there's a lot to the workshop that we're doing, but the the crystalline structure, and this is something that we've been working on for a long time, and it's always going to new levels. It's always upgrading our geometries, upgrading the earth's geometries, and the water geometries. And the water's so key for the DNA work as well. It's like it's like the DNA work takes place within the water. It's like the water needs to be there, around it, maybe even within it as well, for those activations to take place, for the DNA to kind of move to its next level.
There's an experiment, I can't remember. Sometimes I used to be able to pull these things out of my head. I can't anymore. Brain doesn't work. There is an experiment, probably a few, where they've done that, where I think it's a scalar experiment, so it's scalar energy, and they were moving the scalar waves of Earth through water, and it brought DNA or the precursors to DNA. Don't quote me on it, but I know because I've read it more than one place, and it came out of the water. So it's what we're saying. You know, what I say or I propose is we know fuck all about water. We think we do, but we really have no idea of how powerful this structure is, and how mystical it is as well, isn't it? So deep. And because we are water, this is the most beautiful thing, isn't it? It's like you just can't, there's no denial. It's like this consciousness, the spirit, God that we are, has come in a body, and we're mostly water, and we're having a relationship. Like the only relationship that we're really having with the body is predominantly one with the molecular structure of water. So it's no wonder it's so important. And we just, because we go in the mind and in the emotion, which is normal because we're human, we forget about it. We totally forget. So all we're really doing is remembering what's already there and always has been there. And we have had times on Earth, on Gaia, and depending on your perspectives, where we've had very deep relationships with water. And, you know, we've discussed it before, I have clear memories of working in temples where water was the predominant activating substance. You know, as a precursor, they utilised aquifers.
Yeah.
And we know when we look at some sacred buildings that are currently on Earth, but I'm saying there was ones before some of those structures as well. And I feel that, and also in other places, you know, maybe more unusually, I've experienced it on other planets where water isn't necessarily formed so much by gravity. So where there is it's not anti-gravity, but it's a different quality of a substance. I can't explain this easily. Something that we might not have yet here on Earth. Where water doesn't need to comply to the way it does, it behaves differently. So it's more like you'd see if you were in space, you know, how water is more morphogenic like that, and it's conscious. So it's interesting. It sounds like science fiction, but to me this is, I just think we're remembering what's here in our own way because we're human here on Earth, and we're discovering the qualities. You've shared it before, like the whole universe is in water just the same as it's in us. So really we're just playing, aren't we? We're going back to play and releasing it, but we just, it's like it's just a relationship. We just got to get in here into the humanness of it and see how beautiful what we have. You know, I really feel like healing, as we label it, is really just a return to the natural innate structure that we have, because we feel it somehow, it meets a resonance, and so that whatever we've got in between just collapses, and then that creates a state where we can return to health. So things work, and we try to explain it in lots of different ways, but really water's so very key, and it's in the, you know, food, everything we touch, really. Like you said in our original share, wasn't it, where you were taught to even water vapor. I mean, it's so utterly beautiful.
Yeah, every word that is spoken contains water, like that, and it's the connector between us all. It's the super consciousness that connects everything and knows everything that's ever happened on the planet, and is to me consciously aware of that. And no matter where it's going on the planet, whether it's on the outside, whether it's on the inside, because there's so much water in inner Earth as well, that it has the memory of everything, absolutely everything. It's the key, and it feels like it's got so much information to share with us as well, so much knowledge, so much consciousness to share with us. And even calling in when we're doing our energy work, you know, our internal energy work, calling in the consciousness of water to cleanse, to flush things away. And doing that has gone to a much deeper level.
Yeah, it's really playful, isn't it? I get loads of visions, like, you know, when you talk, and it just comes in so deeply. It's that in between world state that we're in. So we used to try and describe things, you know, it's like 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D, 7D, 8D, but I don't really feel that. And same as the masculine and feminine, I struggle a little bit with that, as they're just labels. So I feel I'm going back to that kinesthetic. When I started years ago, I used to feel like a failure in healing when I was doing Reiki, because I didn't see anything, I had no vision. It was I felt everything. And it's like when they write the book of the wounded empath, like I was exemplifying that feeling, and I didn't know it was like kinesthetic. experience. But everything had a description, so I could give you like textures or feelings or energy, but I wouldn't see it. And it's coming, but we're coming back to that. But our visual acuity in terms of the way the new senses are coming, there's no separation, is there? It is. Sometimes it's visual, sometimes it's feeling, sometimes it's smell, sometimes it's taste, sometimes you feel it's as if a hand is touching you. I mean, how many of us are having that experiences now, that we've literally got parts of our soul and it feels like we're in a bigger body or a different shaped body, and we can feel that. So that fluidity is an exploration space for us to have. So the different states of water, like, you know, like say, like just imagining a waterfall, it's like, well, okay, so what can I make this waterfall like? And sometimes it's no longer just water, is it? It's like colors and spirals and codes and geometry. And sometimes I get I'm getting flowers with smells. That's been the latest thing manifesting. I had it in the room the other day, like it literally manifests out of thin air, like fragrance based smells. It's just coming through, and it has a consciousness of its own when you give yourself to it. So you can start off and imagine the waterfall coming. Say I want to hit it into my forehead. Once you start the process, because you're starting it from your heart and you're open and you're connecting with your soul, it's a bit like embodied movement where you give it over to your body. It's like, I'm giving it to soul. I'm just giving it up now, saying, give me what I need, what in this moment, what I need. And then that's when we get magical things, like truly, truly magical things happening. And that is, it has to come from deep inside the heart, really, that asking space. But I felt, I can hear it in my throat when I'm bringing this in. I can feel there's a huge morphogenic energy of the throat right now.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's linked to that movement of energy. So it's probably going to be with us on Monday when we're moving. It just feels very relevant to, because I wrote that code, dissolution of word. It's linked with water. It's not saying there's anything wrong with the words. It's recognizing, like, we struggle, don't we, sometimes to find words. I do constantly, to describe experience, or what is that like, because it's just an amalgamation of senses now. And so the word dissolves. That's where a light language is so powerful as core expressions, because they're felt and less labeled. So that feels relevant. And I've forgotten where this is going now. My brain's just melted into that feeling. Sorry, this is what happens now. Like, I'm turning into like an imbecile because I just get so much energy flowing. It shuts me up.
I might just mention at this point the frogs, because the frog energy has been really tapping me for the last few minutes. So if any of you have seen my feed, you'll be well aware that I've been falling deeply in love with the frogs. And I just, it kind of hadn't fully clicked that I was receiving a download from the frogs and from their sound. And that is relevant for what we're doing on Monday too. So frogs represent metamorphosis, because they go through that change. They're like an in-between creature. They're in the water, but they're on the land. I don't know if, can they breathe in both places? I'm not sure about that. I don't know how frogs breathe. They also represent cleansing and magic. And I remember one time when I was living at the Arts Factory, when I was living in a tent on the campsite, and the frogs, I think they were the cane toads. But there was this wave all around the campsite where their sound would start at one point and it would just go around. I could feel the circular movement of it. And it was really opening portals. And I felt that for a long time, that the sound of frogs, it's like, it's a multi-dimensional sound, and it can take you into another realm. It can act as a portal. So I feel that the magic of frogs, and how many fairy pictures do you see where they've got frogs on them, fairy paintings and that kind of thing, like they're very much associated with that magic and with that realm, and such beautiful, beautiful creatures too. Um, so there's something that I was receiving from spending time with the frogs and with their sound too. It's like that frequency, that reverberation has activated something in me that's going to be part of what I bring through on Monday.
Yeah, I saw that too. I played the track. These are if you go onto Denise's feed as well, she's released videos of these frogs. I was listening to them, and I think maybe 4 or 5 times, played it back again and again and again, because it was just touching me.
Yeah.
Very, very, very deeply. And it reminds me of is elephants. I know that it's like very left of field out of water, but elephants have a sacred relationship with water too. But it's more about how when elephants, they have a subharmonic communication in their belly. And I felt that years ago, and I thought I was hearing things, that it could feel it in the body. So that these things, when you hear it with your ears, I felt with the frogs that you recorded that they were communicating a lot more than what the auditory range is. This is very, very common with birds as well,
Yeah.
which have a sacred relationship with water. So there's a whole kind of weaving here, because this is also back here, human. Our communication has been very shut down. It's been very shut down. We struggled with words, with meanings, with context, and the water there's a purity in this. It's taking us back to the pure form of communication, feeling, experience. That's just I'm just sharing it. It's like it just is coming straight out of the water, that feeling. And like the frogs are a link, because when they're born, those photos you've got are so beautiful. You can see the frogs born in the water, and they start off, they are under the water all the time, aren't they? And then they mature, and I guess they get more amphibious apparatus as they become older. They always fascinate me. I used to have frogs in the garden, and my mum would tell you, like, I used to make frog kingdoms. I had a little orange plastic bowl in the 70s, and I would go around. I was under 3, so very small at this house. We had loads of frogs in the garden. I'd go and collect them and make little, out of stones, I'd make little frog kingdoms for them, because to me they were magical creatures. So, and they still are. They're just, I'm a grown up, but hasn't grown up.
I felt deeply honoured to spend so much time with them there, and it felt bigger. It felt much, and as you say, there's a lot of energy that's not even heard. It's not even on the auditory level that they were transmitting, they were sharing with us. Yeah, such amazing, beautiful creatures.
Yeah, I think that's going to be present with us. I can feel that. It's all like weaving in. We're like this when we work, aren't we? We've got like a big crucible of energy, and we feel it coming in, and then we know we're going to alchemize, but we're never exactly sure. We're not even sure when we're doing it half the time, but it just is always perfect, and it's trusting. So we're led on little journeys up to the day, and then we bring it all as our super resource, and it's like we're surrendering. I feel like we're both really surrendering to the water, aren't we, to show us the magic. and just being in that space. I'm really, really excited about what we're going to co-create on World Water Day, because we've not only got what we're individually weaving, but we've got a huge morphogenic field of gratitude, which is why we chose to do it on the Monday rather than more conveniently. It would have been easy to do it on the weekend, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But we chose to do it on this day because of the wave that's there, and it's leading to the equinox as well. So it's just like, whoa, I can feel it. It's fantastic. So I'm so excited now about it's always perfect. And it's an adventure. And to me, that is the beauty of facilitating as well. It's just holding that space for the energy to create, and let's see what unfolds and what magic is weaving.
There was something dropped in yesterday when I was working on the left side, as like I got further depth of some of the visualization that I'll be sharing, because I was working with water in that work I was doing on my own body yesterday. So what I was doing on myself is going to be something that will be part of the process.
Yeah, it's really cool. Well, you're working on yourself, but we're working on the whole field, and that's it. It does feel like when we're doing anything personal, like I said it, I just say it's like really, it feels so personal, but it is not personal. It just feels personal because we're attached to it, and it, it's like you're say like my knee or my hands, and you feel it in your body. But when you give it attention in a loving way, in a kind way, without trying to make it anything else, the miracles really unfold. It's just, again, it's everything that comes back to relationship, doesn't it? It's like if you said water has your perfect hands, not just perfect hands, but your perfect hands, Denise's perfect hands. So we can do that with anything. And I just really feel that we're exploring this. It's an exploration, like an adventure of newness. We've got to dissolve it. I think the reason why a lot of things don't work, or let's just say why a lot of things appear not to work, is because we've just had such a linear framework, and it's very sequential, and it's structured, and it has to be X, Y, and Z. But what's happening with the brain is it's all kind of going just like a butterfly in a cocoon. It's just going to mush in its own chemicals, like we're basking in our own fluids and losing it all. But we're not really losing anything. What we're doing is we're moving, we're migrating to a new, more open structure. So it can be perceived as a loss, but actually it's a big gain. If we can surrender, it's a big gain, isn't it? It's a deep journey, isn't it? Because of the subconscious attachments that we have, we're not always aware of them. And so this work with water, it can move through that barrier between the conscious and the subconscious realm. That's what I like, is it's working with trust, and that's it's like unifying our aspects together without us needing to really go to town in a linear way or in a mind-based way of approaching these things. So it's just by being more playful, we're inherently opening up structures, and I think that creativity in general, and exploration without labeling is a really good approach.
And I feel there's definitely going to be some throat activation work going on with us on Monday too. And just wanted to point out that the throat is the connecting point between heart and the brain. It's like that's the point, the space between.
Yeah, it's interesting, that is, actually, just briefly, because the Shine group, so this is the retreat group that I've just run, we had a download in one of the meditations. We had massive downloads, and we were receiving rainbow, diamond, crystal energy, and everyone would have had their own pattern, but the one that was given on the hologram was like full tree of life structured, but it was the points you mentioned from the center of the brain, not just the third eye. I like to call this brain central because it's unified field, and then it went out to the shoulders and then back in at the bottom of the sternum, which is the space between the heart and what you call classically the heart and the solar plexus. But it's a very important link here. Let's say a linkage point between the another layer of energy. But what was interesting was we also got them in the hands. And as that triangle, if you like, was activated, that diamond was activated, and it was spinning real fast with these like rainbow crystals, it pulsated out of the center of the heart. So it was self-creating, like it wasn't coming from anywhere, it was just literally from the inside out, self-creating and coming down to the hands. And the hands became super activated and started throwing off light. So, but it was coming from the, like we were literally like suns self-generating light, and it was really interesting to observe how that came in, because it was new to me to see it actually going into specific places. I mean, knowing what about traditional energy points and structures, different layers, different approaches, but it's feeling it and actually feeling it activating. So this does feel very relevant. That structure is relevant to us getting our sacred voice back, full communication on all levels.
And it's part of that coherence too between the heart and the brain. I don't know if it can be fully coherent without, or maybe it's as it goes into coherence that it kind of encourages the throat to be, doing its thing too, and getting its activation. And I'm really seeing that, another diamond there. There's a lot of the work that I've been doing recently is pressing certain points on my body, and I can't really do it with my headphones on, they're in the way, but really, really touching certain points as if to activate them and to connect points on geometry as well.
It's very relevant, yeah. I had some craniosacral work last week, a very special type of craniosacral work. But when there were certain parts that were being worked on, it was the same thing, like the universe is just like multiverse is moving through you. So we're kind of, self-activating ourselves now, aren't we? But it's losing the fear of touching yourself as well. Like, if you just got this crazy kind of feeling that you need to like poke yourself in the head, like just let it go. And I was describing, I have a movement in the embodied practice where I kneel on the floor and my head will roll on the floor, and it sometimes is so strong it feels like my neck's going to break in two, but it's creating a fascial tension across the back of the spine. And when you create the fascial tension the brain and body just does it itself, like presses on certain points, you massive release of energies. And it's like once you come back to straight, it's so much clearer, so much cleaner. So it can often feel counterintuitive when you start doing this, but it's actually natural. Just we think it isn't. And so it's interesting. I think this is all tying in to the energy. It's just relating, like unstructuring, unschooling, unstructuring that, letting go and being with the energy. It's really strong. I mean, just talking in this conversation, it's incredibly activating. Very, very beautiful. So thank you.
Thank you. So it's Monday at 6:30. We'll put in the comments the either the Facebook event or the Ticket Tailor. So it's tickets through Ticket Tailor. The tickets are £33, and if anybody is not in a position for that presently, but your heart is drawn, please get in touch with either Susanne or myself, because we will be able to help you with that. And some of it is, as we've said, is a bit of a mystery to us, but it'll be about what we know so far. It's working with the consciousness of water, really deeply connecting with that consciousness, and really just forging that connection even stronger than we've ever done before. It'll also be activating our crystalline structures, the crystalline components of our energy. What else?
It's all about the body.
Yeah, that's my feeling.
Or coming back to the body. And really feel it's the interrelationship. It's relationship, body, moving into acceptance of the fluidity. So I feel that, and that going back to, if this is the first one, watch Denise's conversation with me, because she was sharing some other really cool stuff about the energy from the Chalice Well in Glastonbury, because I feel that the hands that came in, I had a pair of hands that manifested, which is in that code, that energy is very, very deeply healing energy, very, very loving, very supportive, and it is a feminine energy for sure. I'm meeting the feminine love in ways that I've struggled to articulate, but it's a very deeply loving energy, and I feel that's very present in this space, in this work. So who knows what's going to happen on the night, but I do know after the first one we did, which was amazing, that this one will be just the same. And it's the new way of working. The less structure that me and Denise put into it, the better it's going to be for us as a space. And also it's down to the souls that are creating with us as well. And that always amplifies the space. So I can feel the energy building. It's incredibly beautiful. So thank you. Thank you for sharing, helping, allowing me, I don't know even what the word is, just co-creating the space and weaving, because it all matters. It's all going out there, and it's good.
Should we share a little light language?
Yeah,
Are you feeling that?
Yeah.
I'll hand over to you first, my love.
Ala ason harea halea shen hiare kuasia. Aleli sohare mahaletia hare sham hiamadu. Repata dia hele I suhambe. Andrehi shahala ihlina rasa. Ushumumu senri hala intare. Lale sarayama sundaha. Vatarikia vatonarikoma seka. Tatana waki kuramaha. Tandraki kamuna. Tenrahi sunara. Kavaleti tariamata. Delalaha lusue. Amani hayana. Hunara husela. Ammayana se. Ulateyanara. Umateyanara. Ulali sue. Komana yasue. Kalilu soha. Helara te katano. Tatila atete shaka. Kela area. Nasa.
Thank you, beautiful. Kia aran iachant ore I branai. Kolekian current und ist hol kekele kiarat onuma titira olachia nost baran ikdikdike kel ehia le ronokudele bakarada a. Just going to move back and give myself a bit of space so I don't hit the mic. Keharna kekele rotukodepa eket it urst gdaile kiara mole hiana titlebe it utotatan beke kekete unstete de ikete kakal eki kikist hel ehronokoya kel kebarana ke tutleba ke lebe kitidina ihian dor tutukodlebe ketleba le hiara lono koya titide ukist kulle baraniki kekele bordain ikut utata kutlapa a kekele karlo kurite la pakete but le be kiara no kutla pakete kuya ya uy ya Kila Kia parante kikekelaki tutututata. Bekelekianai ist holakan akedele I et ut ora. Mal ahine kialt ora. Mal akiast ui tatadan. Mele erut ui kast. Thank you, sweetheart. That was really powerful.
Yeah, so beautiful. So beautiful, isn't it? We could just literally just open the space and do that. We could just. It's like we're just going to flow. I know there's going to be so much more than that, and we have got some really great codes as well that are coming and weaving. So if you like light codes, then join us. That's really going to come. I'll be sharing those.
Yeah, there's a lot going to be coming off the back of this too, I feel. Okay, thank you everybody who's been with us and who watches the replay and who's been with us on YouTube. Thank you, Susanne.
It's a pleasure, Denise. Thank you. And to everybody as well. Thanks for your support and love and creation and sharing. It's really, it really is a co-creation. Everything that we do.
Yeah, thank you for all the comments too. And I will just invite us back to our hearts, back to our beautiful, beautiful hearts. And I invite us to say to our beautiful hearts, knowing that the resonance from this will go to every single heart on the planet. I love you. I love you. I love you. So if you can join us on Monday, the 22nd, on World Water Day, it would be awesome to see you. Until next time, have a wonderful evening, day, wherever you are, and a wonderful weekend. And we will see you soon. Love, 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 love.